Police, and I work for the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Unit. And for the last 3 years, I've been working on the agenda which we've come to know as the Prevent Agenda, where we've been looking at issues of vulnerability and concern, and seeing what we can do together to make a difference. And I don't underestimate for one moment the significance of the support and the leadership that's being offered by the Sheikh in this area. Very shortly though, I'm leaving this role and I'm going back to take part in a community policing role in East Birmingham, where I'll be looking after neighbourhood policing issues again, and response issues, all of those emergency services that we all rely on so much. So I thought it would be a good opportunity just to reflect on some of the experiences and some of the things that we've learned over the last 3 years. The issue of violent extremism is indeed sensitive and it's quite emotionally charged. And in different ways I think we've all been bitten by it over the last 3 years, and there have been a number of challenging issues and operations in Birmingham and the West Midlands during that time. Much of the attention on this agenda has fallen on what we might call Al-Qaeda influenced issues. But in fact, the problem is a much broader one than that. The responsibility that we have is to address not just Al-Qaeda influenced issues, but also issues that relate to far-right or white supremacist issues, animal liberation activism, dissident Irish Republican threats, and also a large number of less prominent factional groups that support political causes in the UK and around the world. And also for the individuals who get drawn into violent extremism, there's much complexity there as well. There is no stereotype of somebody who becomes a violent extremist. We've seen time and time again that issues of age, gender, race, faith, culture or heritage can't on their own be taken as indicators of where things can go wrong. And in fact, when we look at the individuals who have got drawn into this problem, we can see that there's been a mix of personal, social, family, psychological, theological, ideological and political issues which they have struggled with and which have caused them to get drawn astray. We do recognise, and we have recognised over the last 3 years, that these issues have affected Muslim communities disproportionately. They have in fact been difficult times. I learned from speaking to Muslim communities, and my colleagues who work with me have learned that at times you have felt deeply under suspicion as a community, that you have felt spied upon, that you've been frustrated by people's lack of understanding around your faith, your culture and your heritage. You've felt demonised at times by some of the stereotypes and some of the negative perspectives. And there's been a constant frustration of the confusion of mainstream Muslim community and Islamic affairs on the counter-terrorism agenda. We recognised that and we wanted to respond in a way which made a difference. And we recognised that most important here was to engage, was to talk openly, was to build better understandings and relationships. And that if we had relationships that were based on trust and confidence, the future would look very much brighter. So to that end, within our units, within the counter-terrorism units, we have now officers who work in uniform all across the force area, all across the West Midlands. They're based in local police stations and they're utterly candid about who they are and what their responsibility is. And they operate that way to be visible, to be accessible to all communities and to be accountable to communities. So where there's issues or concerns or grievances, you can speak to them directly and you can get a response directly and you can get to know that person and you can advise them and you can help to shape the agenda. In their day-to-day work now, they are increasing everybody's understanding of these issues and increasing our understanding of all communities. They're identifying how we best work together to defeat issues like violent extremism, or the divisiveness, the intolerance or the hatred which very often leads to violent extremism. We're learning how to support vulnerable individuals, people who are easily led, who are subject to some of the adverse influences in our society. We're ensuring that grievances are aired and dealt with face-to-face. We are visible in the media, and we respond to any issues of concern where they arise. But most of all, in terms of our face-to-face interaction, and opportunities like today, when I get a chance to come to speak to such a large congregation, it's about